Welcome back everyone, and thank you for joining us once again as we dive deep into the hidden world of rare coins, mysterious minting mistakes, and the astonishing values that some seemingly ordinary pocket change can reach. And today we're exploring a story that will absolutely amaze you, because we're talking about the 1987 quarter dollar coin, a coin that most people wouldn't look at twice. Yet in rare and extraordinary cases, specific errors, mistakes, and production anomalies have pushed certain examples into the realm of unbelievable value, even reaching a rumored price tag of $65 million. And in this long and detailed journey we'll explore how such astonishing worth becomes possible, what kinds of minting blunders can transform a Denver minted quarter into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, why collectors go wild for certain anomalies, how die varieties, planchet defects, mistrikes, off-centers, double dies, machine doubling, transitional composition errors, edge anomalies, and other rare possibilities can combine to create a coin that defies all expectations, and how the combination of historical context, mint production processes, and collector psychology all play a major role in skyrocketing the value of a single quarter far beyond its intended 25-cent purpose. Because when you welcome yourself into the world of numismatics, you quickly discover that the minting process is incredibly complex, involving powerful presses, intricate dies, carefully prepared planchets, and strict standards that aim to produce perfect coins. Yet even with all that control, mistakes slip through, and those mistakes are exactly what collectors chase. And when a mistake happens during a specific year like 1987 at the Denver Mint, it can create a chain reaction of rarity, fascination, and immense value. And when we talk about a coin reaching something like $65 million, we're not just describing a small anomaly but rather a rare alignment of extreme error, historical significance, collector frenzy, and sheer imposane supply. So let's dig deep into the possible reasons behind such a number, starting with the idea that the Denver Mint in 1987 was operating at high capacity, producing hundreds of millions of quarters as part of the regular circulating coinage, and during high-speed production, dies strike planchets with incredible force, and when something goes wrong at even the smallest level, such as a rotated die, a doubled die, a cracked die, a die chip, an overpolished die, or a misaligned strike, it creates a unique piece. And if that mistake happens early enough in the die's life, the resulting coins are sharper, clearer, and more dramatic, which makes collectors even more excited. And one of the biggest reasons a 1987 quarter dollar coin could reach astronomical value is the potential existence of a major double die error, especially on the obverse, where Washington's profile, the motto, the date, or the mint mark may show strong, clear doubling created by a misalignment during the creation of the working die itself. And if that doubling is bold, crisp, and dramatic, appearing on words like liberty or I in God we trust, it can make the coin one of the most desirable varieties ever discovered. And we know from other famous double die coins that extreme doubling is one of the most profitable error categories, sometimes raising values into millions. And when you combine that with the fact that some years barely produce any double die varieties, a major discovery in 1987 could send shockwaves through the numismatic community, making it a coin that collectors would fight over, driving up auction prices to extreme heights. And another possibility is a transitional planchet error, one of the rarest and most valuable mistakes in numismatic history, where the coin is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination or a different year's metal composition. And imagine a 1987 quarter struck not on a copper-nickel clad planchet but on a leftover silver planchet or on a foreign planchet used for coins produced by the US Mint for other countries. And such errors are incredibly rare, highly desired, and known to fetch mind-blowing values because they represent a perfect storm of rarity and uniqueness. And a coin mistakenly struck on a wrong planchet not only looks different in weight, color, luster, and composition but also tests differently, which makes such coins nearly impossible to fake, which enhances their desirability even further. And if just one example of a 1987 quarter existed with such a planchet error, it could easily become a once-in-a-generation discovery worth tens of millions. And even beyond planchet mistakes, there are dramatic striking errors like broad strikes, off-center strikes, double strikes, saddle strikes, and even flip-over double strikes, where the coin is struck once, flips inside the press, and gets struck again on the opposite side, creating mind-bending distortions that collectors love because they visually display the minting malfunction clearly and dramatically. And a perfectly preserved 1987 quarter with a massive off-center strike or a double strike in exceptional condition could be worth enormous amounts, especially if paired with a dramatic die break or retained cud. And a cut occurs when part of the die breaks away completely, causing metal to fill the void and producing a raised dramatic, blob-like shape on the coin, and large cuds are among the most visually stunning and valuable errors, particularly when they occur on series that rarely exhibit them. And if a giant cut appeared on the 1987 D quarter, particularly on Washington's head, the motto, or the eagle design on the reverse, the rarity would push its desirability even higher. And then there is the possibility of misaligned dies, where either the hammer die or anvil die shifts out of place, creating uneven striking, off-center rims, and distorted lettering. And while minor die misalignments are common, extreme misalignments are rare and valuable, and the combination of an extreme misalignment with another error such as doubling or a cracked die could lead to a unique specimen unlike anything else known. And when it comes to edge errors, the 1987 D quarter could theoretically suffer from a partial or missing reeded edge, where the coin's edge appears smooth in sections or entirely unreeded. Typically caused by an issue with the collar die, and collectors value such anomalies even more when they occur early in the year's production or on a coin that is otherwise perfect in condition. And condition itself plays a massive role because even a dramatic error loses value if it is heavily worn, but if a rare error survives in near mint condition, especially in grades such as MS 67 or MS 68, the rarity multiplies drastically. Since strike errors usually occur early in a die's life, the combination of extreme error and gem-level condition becomes a perfect storm for astronomical pricing. And there's also a possibility involving overstrikes or coins struck over previously struck coins or blank planchets recycled by mistake. And when a quarter is struck over another denomination or a foreign coin, parts of both designs appear simultaneously, creating an unforgettable hybrid coin that collectors absolutely crave. And such anomalies are extremely rare and can push values into millions. And when we explore the psychology of collectors, we find that the rarer the coin and the more dramatic the error, the higher the emotional and competitive stakes in auctions, meaning that extremely wealthy collectors may bid enormous sums just to own the only known example of a certain mistake. And if the 1987 D quarter in question is truly one of a kind, its value doesn't just depend on rarity but on prestige, history, and the desire to possess something no one else can acquire. And this psychology is the same force that drives artwork, historical artifacts, and unique collectibles into multi-million-dollar territory. And when a coin represents a combination of rarity, dramatic minting error, outstanding condition, and unique historical appeal, its value becomes something that transcends logic. And the 1987 D quarter dollar coin, rumored to be worth $65 million, stands at the intersection of these forces, a lightning strike combination of circumstances that turn a small piece of metal into a treasure as valuable as some of the world's rarest artifacts. And when we consider that most people walk past such coins every day without noticing, it makes the idea even more thrilling because the next life-changing discovery could be sitting unnoticed in someone's drawer, safe, piggy bank, or coin jar. And that excitement is exactly why people continue to search, collect, and learn about error coins, because each one carries a possibility that something extraordinarily valuable might be lurking where no one expected it. And when you dive deeper into the 1987 D minting history, you learn that the Denver Mint in the late 1980s occasionally produced rare but fascinating errors, often due to high production volumes, die fatigue, and the constant pressure to maintain supply for commerce. And whenever production reaches such intensity, the likelihood of mistakes increases. And although most are minor and unnoticed, a few extreme examples slip through. And those are the ones that become legends, whispered about among collectors, chased in auctions, and studied for decades, because they capture the essence of numismatic mystery, blending chance, craftsmanship, and misfortune in perfect harmony. And the 1987 D quarter's mythical $65 million valuation is the culmination of that mystery, fueled by stories, discoveries, and the ever-evolving world of rare coin collecting. And as we imagine the kinds of mistakes that could lead to so much value. Next, 1989 D quarter dollar. Today we are going deep into the incredible tale of the 1989 D quarter dollar coin that is rumored to be valued at a staggering $53 million because of a combination of mint mistakes, striking anomalies, planchet defects, die deterioration, unexpected metallurgical issues, unusual minting conditions, misalignment complexities, double striking possibilities, edge abnormalities, and a long list of potential errors that have transformed an everyday circulating coin into a mythical piece of numismatic treasure. So get comfortable because we are about to explore everything that could make this specific coin so valuable and why collectors lose their minds over the possibility of finding one hiding somewhere in an old drawer, a forgotten jar, A dusty box from the attic, or maybe even sitting unnoticed in someone's wallet right now, as we unpack the mystery of what could turn a simple 1989 D quarter into a multi-million-dollar prize. And when we talk about this coin, we have to begin with the idea that the Denver Mint that year produced millions of quarters under conditions that were generally stable, efficient, and standardized. Yet even within such tightly controlled processes, errors can creep in because the minting machines were still mechanical systems subject to vibration, misalignment, and human oversight. And that's where the first intriguing layer of this story begins, because collectors believe that a very tiny batch of 1989 D quarters was created under an unusual series of minting circumstances that resulted in a combination of mistakes rarely found all together on a single coin, mistakes that include possible double-die obverse anomalies where the lettering and numbers show extremely subtle doubling detectable only under magnification, a kind of doubling that when paired with other errors can cause a coin's value to skyrocket. And then there is the theory that a handful of these quarters were accidentally struck on a transitional or off-metal planchet, meaning that instead of being made from the standard clad copper-nickel composition, they might have been struck on a leftover blank from another denomination or a metallurgical experimental planchet that somehow slipped through quality control. Something that has happened before in U.S. mint history and always leads to coins worth incredible sums because of how astronomically rare such occurrences are, and when you combine that possibility with the potential of die cracks forming across the words "In God We Trust" or United States of America, you get a coin with visual irregularities that collectors absolutely love because die cracks create fascinating lines, ridges, or raised metal segments across the coin's design that set it apart and contribute to its uniqueness. And on top of that, there are rumors of coins from that era displaying a dramatic off-center strike where the design is shifted noticeably, either leaving part of the coin blank or pushing the main details toward the rim in ways that look bizarre and immediately catch the eye of anyone who knows what to look for. And while many off-center strikes are only slightly shifted, the highly valuable ones are those with major displacement yet still showing the date fully, because without the date, the era loses much of its desirability. And in the case of the legendary $53 million 1989 D quarter, the story goes that the examples known or theorized to exist show an extraordinary combination of off-center striking, double striking, and partial collar errors, meaning that the coin may have been struck more than once but with the collar not fully engaged, causing the edges to appear distorted or partially expanded, a type of error that is extremely rare and visually dramatic. And if you add to that the possibility of a clipped planchet where a curved portion of the coin is missing because the metal sheet was improperly punched, you get yet another layer of rarity added to an already exceptional combination of mistakes. And then we move into the possibility of a broad strike error where the collar failed completely and the coin expanded slightly beyond its normal diameter, giving it a flattened appearance around the edges while still preserving the core design. Something collectors love because it shows the minting machinery malfunctioned in a very specific way that is rarely captured so cleanly. And when we talk about value, we also have to remember the importance of condition, because a coin with errors that is discovered early and kept in pristine condition can jump exponentially in value, especially when multiple errors are present simultaneously. And some collectors speculate that the mythical high-value 1989 D quarter may be in near mint state, meaning that not only does it contain a once-in-a-lifetime combination of mistakes but it also avoided circulation damage entirely, leaving the fields glossy, the details sharp, and the errors crisp, which is the perfect recipe for rarity meeting condition. And then we dig deeper into the curious theories about misaligned dies from that year, because die alignment issues can create rotational misalignments where the obverse and reverse designs are not correctly oriented relative to each other, something that collectors refer to as a rotated die error. And if the rotation is dramatic enough, such as 90 degrees or even 180 degrees, then the value skyrockets, because it demonstrates a severe lapse in quality control. And some stories claim that the $53 million example features a wild die rotation combined with doubling and off-metal striking, which would result in a coin displaying an almost surreal appearance unlike anything normally produced by the mint. And then we enter the realm of strike pressure anomalies, because if the pressure used to strike the planchet was either too weak or too strong, it could create weak areas, overly bold details, or inconsistencies in relief, something that can be seen in the lettering, the date, Washington's portrait, or the eagle on the reverse for that era. And certain pressure errors can coincide with foreign material contamination where grease or debris got into the die, causing a so-called grease-filled die error that makes parts of the design appear faded or missing. And that type of error combined with others only enhances the mystique and rarity, especially when included in a coin already loaded with extraordinary anomalies, and as we move through the reflections of all these possibilities, collectors imagine the Denver Mint floor in 1989 with the constant sound of machines striking coins, workers inspecting randomly sampled pieces, blank planchettes moving along conveyor systems, and the occasional malfunction or unnoticed slip that allowed one or more extraordinary coins to escape unnoticed into the general population, and that is where the treasure hunting excitement comes in, the idea that despite millions of ordinary 1989 D quarters existing in circulation, there might be only one or two with this insane combination of errors, a coin that is not just rare but unique, a coin that represents a perfect storm of mistakes that no one could have predicted or replicated. And it is this uniqueness that drives the rumored valuation into the stratosphere at $53 million, because collectors with deep pockets will pay enormous sums for coins that represent something historically bizarre, numismatically unmatched, and visually striking. And when we talk about rarity, we also must consider human psychology, because the more impossible something seems, the more collectors desire it as a trophy piece, a symbol of their passion and dedication to the hobby, and a display of status within the numismatic world, where owning a one-of-a-kind mint error coin makes someone instantly legendary among fellow enthusiasts. And as we explore every hypothetical angle of how such a coin could have come into existence, we think about the die polishing that may have erased parts of the design unintentionally, the hubbing process that may have introduced slight irregularities, the aging of the dies that created tiny cracks and distortions, the wrong planchette theory that keeps resurfacing in collector discussions, the accounted for and unaccounted for mint quality control notes from the era, the speculative claims of employees finding unusual coins but never reporting them, and the persistent stories of collectors discovering unusual 1989 D quarters with oddities that suggest something rare might indeed exist. And the longer we examine the possibilities, the more fascinating the entire narrative becomes, because it blends real mint processes with the mystery of human error, mechanical unpredictability, and the thrill of chance. And this thrill is exactly what fuels the excitement of people checking their change, searching coin rolls from the bank, digging through inherited collections and hoping that one day they will stumble upon the mythical $53 million 1989 D quarter, a coin that continues to inspire endless speculation and wonder. So if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins and want more stories just like this one, make sure you stay connected, support the channel, and join us again as we explore the mysteries hiding in plain sight inside the everyday coins we all take for granted. Next, 1978 quarter dollar. Today we're exploring one of the most astonishing tales of all, the story of the 1978 quarter dollar coin that has become the center of fascination, speculation, and jaw-dropping excitement, because collectors claim certain rare error examples of this seemingly ordinary coin have reached an unbelievable value of $34 million. And while that number might sound impossible at first glance, once we peel back the layers of minting mistakes, hidden anomalies, production oddities, and the unpredictable circumstances that surround the minting process of this particular year, the reasons behind its rumored value begin to make sense. So let's settle in and take a long, detailed, uninterrupted journey through every possible error, strike variation, accidental misstep, mechanical glitch, planchette issue, die deterioration, and unusual production event that could transform a common 1978 quarter into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And as we begin this in-depth exploration, imagine opening an old drawer or receiving change at a store and suddenly noticing something slightly off about a quarter from 1978, because that tiny difference is precisely what dedicated collectors have spent decades hunting for, meticulously searching through countless coins in hopes of finding that elusive treasure that carries a rare minting mistake so dramatic, so unexpected, or so technically impossible that it lifts the coin far beyond its face value and into the realm of astonishing multimillion-dollar worth. And when we dive into the minting process of 1978, we uncover a year filled with transition, heavy production, mechanical wear, and the use of equipment that had already been pushed to its limits after years of intense output through the 1970s, which means the potential for unnoticed errors dramatically increased. Starting with one of the most discussed possibilities, the off-metal strike, a scenario in which a quarter design is accidentally struck on a planchette intended for a different denomination, such as a nickel or even a foreign coin planchette. And while modern collectors know that off-metal errors are exceptionally rare, especially for quarters of this era, the speculation that one or two examples may have slipped through the presses of 1978 is precisely what drives the unbelievable rumored value. Because if a 1978 quarter was struck on a wrong planchette of a different metal composition, its weight, color, sound, and electromagnetic signature would be entirely different from a typical clad quarter, instantly attracting the attention of experts and pushing its value into the millions due to the unprecedented rarity of such a mistake. But that's just the beginning of the possibilities that make this coin so fascinating. Because another category of errors linked to the legendary $34 million figure involves extreme double strikes where the coin is struck once, ejected imperfectly, and then struck again either fully or partially, creating a dramatic overlapping image of George Washington's profile or the eagle on the reverse from the era, and an extreme double strike where both images remain crisp and identifiable is the type of minting misstep that can turn even the most ordinary coin into an extraordinary specimen. But if that double strike occurred off-center, rotated, or at a different die alignment than the first strike, its rarity increases exponentially, further fueling the belief that a coin with multiple layered errors on a 1978 quarter could reach an astronomical figure, and some collectors even claim that a legendary example exists where a 1978 quarter received a double strike combined with a broad strike, meaning the retaining collar failed and the metal expanded outward during the strike, creating a stretched, distorted edge that still preserved the design enough for experts to recognize its extraordinary error pattern. And beyond that lies another compelling possibility, the theory of a mule error, which happens when the obverse die from one coin denomination is accidentally paired with a reverse die from another denomination, something so rare that only a few known mule coins have ever been authenticated in the entire history of the U.S. Mint, and while no officially confirmed 1978 mule quarter has been documented, the persistent collector rumors about mismatched die strikes, misaligned metal identifiers, and unusual edge characteristics keep the myth alive and fuel the belief that such a coin could indeed exist, and if it did, it would be one of the most valuable minting mistakes on the planet, potentially explaining the astronomical $34 million estimate associated with this coin. And moving further into the labyrinth of minting anomalies, we consider die cracks, die breaks, and retained cut errors, where the metal-filled cavities or raised metal blobs form on the coin as a result of die deterioration. And while most die cracks add only modest value, an extreme crack that dramatically alters Washington's profile or splits the eagle's wings could turn a normal coin into a historically important piece. But if that dramatic crack occurred alongside another major error such as a double strike or an off-metal planchet, the layering of multiple mistakes could push its premium into the realm of impossibility. Yet the story doesn't end there, because the 1978 quarters were minted during a period when planchet preparation machines occasionally produced clipped planchets, meaning pieces of metal that were incomplete from the start, missing a curved portion from the edge due to improperly punched metal sheets. And while clipped planchets are not extremely rare on their own, a perfectly formed curved clip combined with a dramatic strike-through error where foreign material, such as grease, cloth fiber, or even metal shavings, became lodged between the die and the planchet could create a deeply unusual surface texture, weakening or distorting parts of the design in a way that collectors find mesmerizing. And if that strike-through occurred on both sides and combined with a major structural error, it could easily be counted among the most extraordinary quarter errors of its time, adding yet another possibility for the rumored multi-million-dollar valuations. And when we explore the concept of full brockage errors, where one coin becomes stuck in a die and then impresses its mirrored image onto the next coin, we uncover another layer of theoretical value for the 1978 quarter, because a perfectly centered brockage combined with a rotated or off-center strike would be one of the most visually dramatic and technically improbable errors ever produced, and collectors who specialize in brockage errors know that examples showing clear mirrored relief without heavy distortion are unbelievably scarce. And if such an error were found on a 1978 quarter, it would not only be unique but could easily command an astronomical price at auction due to the combination of rarity, visual intensity, and historical significance. And as we move into the field of misalignments, broad strikes, partial collar errors, missing reading, and edge anomalies, the potential grows even more, because the minting machinery of the era occasionally malfunctioned, producing coins struck with tilted dies, loose collars, or improperly engaged edges. And when a quarter is struck out of collar, the reeded edge disappears, creating a smooth, flattened edge that resembles older coins or foreign denominations. And if such an error is paired with a dramatic misalignment that shifts the design far off-center while still maintaining clarity, the unique visual appeal and mechanical improbability could skyrocket the coin's desirability. Yet the most thrilling aspect of the 1978 quarter mystery remains the speculation that a small number of experimental planchets or test strikes may have been accidentally used for circulation coins. Because during the late 1970s the Mint was experimenting with metal compositions, refining planchet production methods, and evaluating the long-term durability of clad coins. And if even one or two test strikes using alternative metal formulas slipped into circulation by mistake, their unusual weight, color, and acoustic properties would make them instantly identifiable to trained collectors, and because experimental errors are among the rarest forms of minting mistakes, such a discovery could easily reach millions at auction, feeding the rumors of the infamous $34 million valuation. And beyond the technical minting errors lies the collector psychology that drives rare coin values into the stratosphere, because when a coin is believed to exist in only one or two examples, its rarity transforms it into a historical artifact, a symbol of perfect imperfection, and a trophy piece that wealthy collectors are willing to compete for at extreme prices, especially when media speculation, auction rumors, and private collection stories continue to circulate about the mysterious 1978 quarter that supposedly sold or was valued at tens of millions in private numismatic circles, creating a legend that refuses to fade. And the more collectors talk, the more the myth grows, and the more the myth grows, the more determined people become to search through their coin jars, flea market finds, inherited collections, and everyday pocket change in hopes of discovering the one extraordinary piece that carries the rare combination of mint errors so dramatic, so improbable, and so unique that it would justify the unbelievable price tag. And as we explore these possibilities, from off-metal strikes to extreme double strikes, from brockage to mules last. Today, as we dive into one of the most surprising, fascinating, and unbelievable stories in the entire world of modern American coin collecting, a story that takes the humble 1991 D quarter, a coin most people would never think twice about, and transforms it into a jaw-dropping legend valued at a staggering $56 million because of a combination of incredibly rare mint errors, unusual production mistakes, historical oddities, and the tiny details that make collectors across the globe lose their minds. And today we're going to go deep into every possibility, every known variation, every rumored mistake, and every tiny quirk of this Denver minted quarter that could make it worth life-changing money. So sit back, relax, and get ready to explore the mysteries surrounding a coin that most people have spent without hesitation, tossed into tip jars, let slide between couch cushions, or dropped into parking meters without ever imagining that one specific 1991 D example could rise to a value so enormous that it defies logic and reshapes the entire landscape of modern numismatics. As we unpack why certain coins explode in value and how something as ordinary as a 1991 D quarter could be hiding a treasure that transforms your understanding of rarity, precision, and the extraordinary world of minting errors that turn pocket change into museum-worthy artifacts worth millions. And as we begin this journey, imagine for a moment the countless billions of coins produced by the United States Mint every single year, each one designed to be nearly identical, uniform, and consistent. Yet within that ocean of sameness, tiny mistakes slip through, microscopic anomalies escape detection, and unexpected variations emerge, shaping coins that become legends. And the 1991 D quarter is one of those coins whose mystique grows every year as collectors speculate and debate over the precise combination of errors and conditions that could lead to a valuation so enormous. And part of what makes this coin fascinating is that at first glance, nothing about the standard 1991 D quarter seems remarkable, because the Denver Mint was operating at full speed during this era, striking massive quantities of business strike quarters, most of which followed the standard Washington quarter design with George Washington's profile on the obverse, the American eagle on the reverse, clad composition, reeded edges, and the familiar D Mint mark beneath the motto. Yet deep beneath all that routine production, error specialists believe that unique conditions at the Mint during 1991 contributed to an unusual environment where several categories of errors could occur, possibly in overlapping combinations, and it's these combinations that fuel the mythology of a single 1991 D specimen whispered among collectors to be worth $56 million if authenticated, documented, and brought to auction. So let's unpack those possibilities piece by piece, starting with the striking errors. Because one of the most dramatic possibilities is a double strike off-center hybrid error, meaning that the coin may have been struck more than once with the die failing to fully eject the planchet after the first strike, causing overlapping images, distorted lettering, doubled profiles, and warped rims. And if that coin was simultaneously misaligned in the second strike, you could get a bizarre shape or misproportioned features that make the coin unmistakably unique, and that alone could send serious collectors into a frenzy. But another possibility is that the legendary 1991 D specimen could be a mule error, one of the rarest categories in the coin world, created when the obverse die of one denomination is accidentally paired with the reverse die of a different denomination. And maybe during 1991, amidst routine die changes, a Washington quarter obverse die somehow got paired with a reverse die intended for a Roosevelt dime, a Susan B. Anthony dollar, or even a foreign coin produced under U.S. Mint contract. and if even one such coin escaped the facility, its value would be astronomical because mule errors often bring 6 to 7 figures even for far more common years, and if such a mule involved a 1991 Denver die pairing unheard of in numismatic records, its rarity would be beyond comparison. And this alone could justify the sensational multi-million-dollar valuation attributed to this coin, but beyond striking errors there's the intriguing possibility of planchet errors. Some of the most misunderstood yet valuable types of mistakes, and perhaps the mysterious $56 million 1991 D quarter was accidentally struck on the wrong planchet, something like a copper cent planchet, a nickel planchet, a foreign coin blank, or even a leftover experimental planchet from previous years, because wrong planchet errors from the 1980s and 1990s are known to exist in very small numbers, and coins struck on such planchets can look dramatically different in weight, color, thickness or diameter, making them instantly recognizable as extraordinary, and if the coin was struck on a pure silver planchet, a leftover from commemorative or proof production, that alone could drive value exponentially due to its uniqueness and impossible to replicate minting conditions. But there's also the possibility of a broad strike or a defective collar ring, causing the coin to expand outward and lose its reeded edges, or a clipped planchet where a portion of the metal blank was missing from the start, resulting in a crescent-shaped slice missing from the coin. And if such an error combined with a double strike or die break, the coin could have a combination of mistakes so rare that no other example exists, and collectors will pay unimaginable amounts when they encounter a one-of-one error that cannot be reproduced and never occurs again. But error specialists also talk about die state errors, meaning the die itself was damaged, cracked, or deteriorated at the time of striking, causing raised lines across the surface of the coin, cuts where sections of the design appear missing due to die breakage, or die gouges that create small but unmistakable oddities on the metal surface. And if a 1991 D quarter featured an enormous, dramatic die break that changed the appearance of George Washington's portrait or distorted the reverse eagle, the coin would instantly stand out as a dramatic mint blunder, and some of these so-called dramatic die breaks have become legends in numismatics, often selling for tens of thousands of dollars even without additional errors. So imagine a single coin combining a catastrophic die break, a double strike, a wrong planchet, and a misaligned die, and suddenly the idea of a $56 million valuation seems less impossible because in the rare coin world, extreme uniqueness is priceless. But there is more to the story because we must also consider the role of condition, because collectors know that error coins in mint state or uncirculated condition are dramatically more valuable than their worn counterparts, and if the legendary 1991 D specimen was preserved in pristine condition, untouched by circulation, perhaps discovered in a mint-sealed bag or in an early Federal Reserve shipment, that would multiply its value many times over. And there's the added factor of provenance, because coins with documented histories, famous ownership, or appearances in major auction houses tend to vault higher in price, simply because their story becomes part of their identity, and the coin becomes more than metal, transforming into a cultural artifact, a symbol of minting history and a collector's dream. But beyond the technical aspects, there's the human element of mystery, the speculation, the rumors that drive value upward, because when news spreads that a single 1991 D quarter with extraordinary errors could be worth $56 million, collectors start examining their change more closely, fueling a surge of interest in the date, causing prices of all 1991 D era coins to rise, even minor ones like small off-center strikes, subtle doubling, light strike issues, die polish marks, weak reverses or rim anomalies, because the psychology of treasure hunting cannot be underestimated. And this phenomenon amplifies the attention surrounding the coin to the point where even the concept of its existence reshapes the market. But the magic of this story is that coins like this remind us that lightning can strike in the most unexpected places, and even the most ordinary year and mint mark can produce something extraordinary under the right circumstances, because during 1991, the Denver Mint dealt with worn machinery, rapid die changes, heavy production schedules, and transitional challenges in die life management, all of which create the perfect storm for error production. So when collectors consider what could make this particular coin worth $56 million, it's the combination of possibilities, the layers of mystery, and the sheer improbability that such a coin could escape the mint at all, and the excitement of imagining a coin that breaks every rule and surpasses every expectation makes the story captivating. And the idea that one example could exist, hidden somewhere in a collection, a box, a drawer, or a forgotten roll of quarters adds to the thrill. And as we bring all these ideas together, from double strikes to mules to wrong planchets to Catastrophic die breaks to perfect condition to historical significance and provenance. It becomes clear why collectors fantasize about this coin and why the legend of the $56 million 1991 D quarter continues to grow, because at the core of it all is the hope that rare treasures still exist in the everyday world, waiting to be found, waiting to be recognized, and waiting to transform the life of the person lucky enough to uncover them.